Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Edward Elgar Publishing Limited, and it's an important book for both practitioners and scholars alike. The book is called Yeowart and Parsons on the Law of Financial Collateral, and it's been written by two people, Geoffrey Yeowart and Robin Parsons, with help and assistance from Edward Murray and Hamish Patrick. There's a foreword by Lord Hoffman, which I'll refer to again in a minute, because Lord Hoffman has a direct interest in this particular area of law. This is the first time we've actually got a book covering this specific area as well. Now, it's part of the Elgar Finance Law and Practice series, and it's available online as well as an e-book and a hardback. And Elizabeth and I have given our review title for this review we've written, Appreciation. We call it an enormously expert work and a stupendous achievement explaining the law of financial collateral. And that, I have to say, has been taken from various other commentators making points about the book. It's an excellent book. It's a heavy book too. It's a hardback. There's the front. You can see there everything to do with it. That is the spine. And then on the back you've got some basic detail about the book, and at the bottom you've got the information again about the online service and the fact it's an e-book. Now, the book runs to 830 odd pages. There's the index right at the back. As I say, it's a heavy book, very nice paper used for the actual book. I say that because sometimes the paper can be quite flimsy, but this is very nice, and it's a nice book to handle as well. And then there's a glossary of terms right at the back. Again, useful because this is about financial matters, so there are quite a lot of words that are used which can sometimes be quite confusing. There's the glossary there. Then there are three appendices, appendices 2 and 3 there, and then appendix 1 right at the back, just to assist. Shortcomings, uncertainties, for instance, set out there. Now, let's go to the front, bearing in mind that the directive created a lot of this requirement in the first place. This is the series. It's the Elgar Financial Law and Practice series, which is mentioned there. Then that's the front page itself. There are only a couple of titles in at the moment. That is the detail if you're interested in getting the publication online or as an e-book. And then there's the foreword by Lord Hoffman, which is well worth reading. Then you've got the contents section, which is quite detailed, and then an extended section of contents. There are 24 chapters and the 3 appendices. Then after the extended table of contents, you've got a preface by the two authors, Yeowart and Parsons, just to set out exactly what this book is about. Then there's detail about the individual authors. They all come from a very substantial specialist background. Then you've got figures and tables mentioned there, and then you do have useful abbreviations. This is an area both for financial consultants and for lawyers where there's a lot of abbreviation, so it's useful to have this list just to remind you of what some of these abbreviations actually are. You see it goes on for some way, and then after that you get the table of cases, and then table of legislation after that, and so forth. You've also got the beginning of the book with the different parts structured. Then when we get into the book, you see for each part there is a sub-index for the chapter, which again is very helpful, setting out what's actually in it. In fact, in this case, it's the various parts that make it up. And then you've got the actual publication itself with detail, paragraph numbering on the sides, and of course a lot of footnoting all the way through. And that's the way it runs through. That's appropriation we're looking at there. It's a heavy book, and one that, when I went through it, I was surprised to find that it was actually easy to read, because in the past we've had a number of these books that have not been the easiest books in the world to understand, but this one has been well produced, well written, and this is what we say about it. Normally, one would start by reviewing Lenny Hoffman's comments and his excellent observations, which are given in his foreword to what is an important new work from Elgar on financial collateral. However, it's to Professor Philip R. Wood that I first turned for comment. I met Professor Wood, and I can understand exactly what he's saying. His comments are made actually in a short quote there. He's not a person I would not listen to at all. I would take strong advice from what he says. But Wood calls this work enormously important and put together by exceptionally experienced practitioners in the field of finance. And that's a very good endorsement by one of the most important leading and knowledgeable persons in this particular area of law. And as I say, it's high praise indeed, but most welcome for this stupendous achievement, which can be regarded as the ultimate answer to all the questions anyone could ask about the developing law of financial collateral. And Hoffman has his own description, writing that the clarity and comprehensiveness with which it's written would have saved me a good deal of effort in trying to understand an unfamiliar subject. And that's at a time when he was the chairman of the Financial Markets Law Commission. And of course the role of the book is designed for basic and fundamental legal concepts for practitioners and advisors to understand. For instance, an entrancing issue analysed in chapter 12 covers the clash between, on the one side, the need for certainty in sophisticated financial transactions involving massive sums of money in an age of instant communication, compared with the medieval doctrine of relief against forfeiture, which is raised in the Kukurova case. Just one of many examples which make this work, I think, enormously important to all lawyers and those who work in the financial industry, in the sector. And it's one certainly that people will become much more aware of as it's a new book on the market. So why is the book so important? It explains the working of the wholesale financial markets, which entirely depends on the existence of efficient means for providing financial collateral security. The conclusion being that the management of the risk would be impossible without it, a point of substantial importance for any law firm, we think, and why this book is so valuable to us. Yeowart and Parsons, as I sort of would call it, also explain why it's essential to have legal rules which make the granting of financial collateral security simple and its consequences predictable. And it's therefore the first book on English law to deal comprehensively with the entire subject of financial collateral security, where the global reach of wholesale financial dealings means that rules confined just to the UK would clearly be inadequate. And we have to recognise we're in the global world. Whether people who are taking particular views at the moment or not is another matter, but we do have this global concept. It's not going away, and that's why the book, I think, is of great value nationally and internationally. Hoffman makes an important point, I would also suggest, saying that there seems to be an inverse proportion between the importance of the subject and the extent of the literature which deals with it. Good point, I feel. And yet so little attention has been paid to the legal rules which are essential to the functioning of the City of London. And the remedy, of course, is Yeowart and Parsons, ably assisted by Edward Murray and Hamish Patrick, on this first-class statement of law based on the directive. And of course it is directive based. I'm not going into the detail in any way, shape or form, but that is obviously, it has emerged as a result of the main directive. Let me conclude by saying that the law of financial collateral is indeed an essential reference point for all legal practitioners operating in the financial markets, and we are very lucky to all have this information in one place for the first time. And the law is stated as at the 1st of January 2016. And that's the book again, there it is, side, and then do have a look at some of the comments on the back and the detail. Just opening it up, it's a heavy book. You can say, I'm taking security over financial instruments and an equitable mortgage. So we get into the depth of the subject very quickly there indeed. And you can see here the paragraph numbering, and you can see also the footnoting. Altogether a very scholastic work, excellent for practitioners and for anybody involved in this particular area of activity. Thank you to all concerned indeed. It's an excellent book and certainly one you should have in your professional libraries. Bye-bye.